I watched one porn in its entirety. It was the Grinch. At this job, I get sex at the end of the day, and that's kind of nice. I love men's hands. Anal's really not that hard for me.
Hey, I'm Ariel Demure.
Hi, I'm Madi Collins. Hey guys, I'm Maya Wolf.
Hi, I'm Little Puck.
I'm Bree Mills, and you're listening to the Adult Time Podcast.
All right, Madi Collins, welcome to the Adult Time Podcast.
Thank you so much for having me. It's such a cool set. I'm so excited to be here.
Thank you. So we can't talk about it, but we just worked on something really cool together.
We can't talk about it though.
It's going to be big.
It's going to be earth-shattering.
It is.
For some of my fans.
It is.
Yeah.
And you should probably tune in, fans, around the second half of October.
Your call.
That's when we're expecting the release to happen. But anyway, it was cool. We just saw each other for that. We can't talk about it.
Yeah, it's been killing me. I'm such a talker that I'm just like, nope, I've just been working, not on anything, just working.
Yeah, not on anything unique or strange or mind-blowing.
Just the regular stepdad stuff.
There you go. There you go. Well, I am super stoked to be able to chat with you today. It's, we've obviously got to know you really well on Adult Time, and you're like a total fan favorite on our platform.
A fan and a favorite.
A fan and a favorite. So I want to talk to you about that. I want to talk to you all about that today. We've made a challenge. You and I made a challenge before we started, which is I always have a long list of questions, and I usually ask like 2, and then I riff off. But today we're going to see how many we get through.
I want you to be able to ask your questions.
All right.
We're going to
This is
really
the challenge.
do it.
This is our challenge. Okay. So we came prepared with multiple bottles of water in case we get parched. And I'm going to start with, what led you to work in the adult industry, Madi Collins?
What originally, like before porn was ever a thing, like adult industry, I started as a stripper, but like before that I was a preschool teacher. So I was working with like kids, loved it, like kids are great, whatever. I saw a kid get hurt. They like ran into a table, and I was just like, this isn't the job for me. I was like crying on the job. I was just like, this poor baby. So I was just like, what's the furthest away I can get from working with kids ever again? And I was like,
opposite.
Stripper. Yeah. So that's like kind of the start originally. And then come COVID, I was just like, how do I have safe sex? How do I even meet new people? And I was like, porn, fuck it.
Were you, so the decision to become a stripper, despite it being the polar opposite of working in the school system, were you a good dancer? Did you have that confidence, or was it like, I'm just gonna wing it?
I always had that confidence. I feel like I was always a performer in some sense, like whether it was like plays and musicals growing up or like chorus, it was always like, I just wanted to be seen. I wanted to like put on a show sort of thing. So like literally I watched Motley Crue, The Dirt, that movie that came out on Netflix. And I was just like, you know what? They wanted the rock star lifestyle. So what did? They became rock stars. So I was like, what kind of lifestyle do I want? And I was like, I want to like live the hot girl life, whatever. Yep. So I was just like, be a strip. I had a friend that was dancing like in Atlanta that like I knew her from high school sort of thing. And she was living a great life. So I was just like, let's try it. What's the worst that could happen? And here we are 5-6 years later and loving life.
There you are.
Who would have thought?
So COVID hit, and you thought, okay, what am I going to do next? Because obviously working in clubs during that time was a no-go.
It wasn't a thing. Government money was like running out. I like got myself a car on it. I was just like, okay, I have myself like set up for all these things, but like what now?
Yeah.
And so I was kind of doing OnlyFans, but like not really, just kind of like using it as an excuse to like go and hang out with people, like whatever. So I was doing OnlyFans with this one guy, and he was just like, I was going down on him. He was like, you're really good at that. Have you ever thought about doing porn? And I was like, well, now that you mention it. So it kind of like planted a seed that like just kept growing and growing until I was just like, okay, I gotta see. So I was already advertising my OnlyFans like to everyone that I knew basically, because I was just like, I don't care. Like everyone's doing it. Who cares? And so that was a really easy transition, because it's like my parents already kind of knew something was going on. Yeah. Like it was just kind of like the
gradual next step. Yeah. And what did you watch porn before you got into porn?
I wasn't like a fan, so I didn't like know names. I didn't really know companies or anything like that. But I watched one porn in its entirety, and it's the funniest one because now I run across a lot of people that were in it when I mentioned that.
What was that porn?
It was the Grinch porn. It was the Grinch special where everyone was like special effects makeup, and I was like, wow, porn can really be like something.
Was it Michael Vegas?
That's right.
He was.
I was
the Grinch,
on set
right?
telling someone about that, and he was just like, I was the Grinch in that, and I was just like, wow, you were my first full porno that I watched. Cool. All
right. So
Small world.
That's very interesting, Maddie, that your porno of choice was the Grinch porn parody.
It was a cinematic masterpiece.
It was.
Let me just say, I was so engulfed in it the entire time. I was just like, yeah, they're fucking, but there's also this whole entire story, and it's like different. I mean, now I recognize the house, but I was just like, wow, it's different sets. It's different this and that. It was mind blowing of like what porn could be, because I just didn't think it could be that.
And it's, it's never really been matched. I don't know if anybody's gone back to Whoville since then and tried to do it again.
To Whoville.
So, if y'all want that, you let us know. What was one of the, like, from your first experiences going on to sets and working for companies, what were some of your big takeaways that first year? Like, what did you learn on the positive side, and what did you learn that you would give as advice to newbies coming in as to not do?
I definitely learned really quick that porn is not what I thought it was, in the sense of like, I thought people would be partying on set. I thought it would be like random people in and out and like not paperwork, anything like that. I thought it was just going to be like Girls Gone Wild sort of thing. And so I got a reality check really quick with that. And I was just like, oh yeah, this is a business. Let's like straighten up, whatever. Something else that I realized is like, it's on the internet forever. And so like, put your best self like forward with it. But I don't know. I feel like I've gotten really lucky where I haven't had too many like negative experiences in the industry, but like, I think that's due to me being a really strong personality where I'm very okay with telling people like, you're out of your mind, or like, no, I'm not going to hang out with you after work, or like stuff like that.
Yeah.
And like, don't date in the industry, especially your first year, I feel. I feel like I found a lot of people that I joined at the same time with kind of couple off, and then like, I don't really know where they are anymore because they're not in the industry anymore. So it's like, if you're putting so much of yourself on the line to like your reputation, like it's on the internet forever, it's like really make sure that you're focusing on you and not like, I hate to say emotional needs, but like take care of yourself first. Yeah.
Well, and it's a dicey thing. I mean, some couples make it work and make it work really well. And my wife was a former performer, although to be fair, we met and we were together for a period of time, and then she chose to retire. So most of my relationship has been with her, not as a performer. But for a lot of people, it's really tough because it's it's the mixing of work and personal, and that's usually
I'm
not
such
a good
jealous
mix.
person. I'm like, I'm so good on that. I'm like, I do not want to open Twitter and watch like my guy like new clip sold or anything. I'm like, that's just gonna ruin my day. It's okay for me, but I know that about myself, and so it's like, it's so cool to see the couples that do work out, and it's like very inspirational where it's like, oh, you guys found each other here, and like that's so cool, whatever. But like knowing me, I'm like, not for me. I don't think. No,
I feel you on that. No, I feel you on that for sure. We talked about your first experience watching porn, obviously the Grinch. I know that you are a pure Taboo fan.
Such a fan.
So tell me about your first experience. How did you discover pure Taboo, and why do you love it so much?
I want to say that my first discovery would be the Chloe Cherry blind scene.
Oh boy.
Yeah. And I really love the creepy. I love the challenge. I love like the acting part of it where it's like, it really is a whole story. And I love the creepy weird stuff. I love, like, before I ever joined porn, I like did small movie roles where it was just kind of like independent films and stuff like that around Arizona where like ASU, a lot of people are filming and whatever. And I loved playing Dead Girl. I don't know what it was, but like I loved it. And so like to have that like bit of difference in shooting now, it's kind of like a palate cleanser where it's just kind of like, this is some fucked up shit, but like compared to the Step Sis, Step Bro, like the typical scripts that I do get. Yeah. So
I remember that was one of I would say within the first dozen episodes that we created for that brand. And I remember it was Chloe before, Euphoria and well before like her mainstream career took off. And it was the first time I'd ever worked with her, or it was one of the first times I had ever worked with her. We did a scene called something about an enema.
Isn't it always?
but I feel like this one was the first. But I remember that day because, you know, I much like you, like why I created that series was that I wanted to take all these stories that were very, like these themes that were very popular, but tell them with a completely different tone. And by treating the material seriously, like taking these situations that mostly in porn were shot as comedies and shooting them as like really like gut-wrenching tragedies.
Yeah.
That it would have an effect. And I remember her performance. We were all like, ooh, because
like,
she was blind.
Yeah.
It was like she did not break character throughout that. And it was what made that scene so effective. And I do think when I think back on like the classic, the pure taboos that we could not film today, of which that one would probably qualify. Yeah. That one is up there because she was so convincing.
Yeah. It was so cool to watch, but it did feel so unsettling. And like, I like that, like, realness of it.
Yeah. And it was one of the few times I worked with Ricky Johnson too before he got contracted. And I wish he's a guy that I wish I could have worked with more. I mean, I love seeing like how much he's grown as a producer and stuff. And but he was also like part of what made that episode so uncomfortable was him too. Like he did a great job at like
he's a good director. Yeah. He really is. I had a couple projects with him where it was just like, okay, start crying, do this and that. And it's like, we made it work even if the tears weren't flowing. Cause like some days I can make it work and I'm just like, let me just think of like the most horrendous things ever happening right now. And, but yeah, we always found a way to make it work. And he's a good guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Look, honey, the first step towards realizing your dream might be building a family.
This is Grace, and she's gonna be able to take care of you no matter how sick you feel.
Where are you going?
I need to go shopping.
I already have everything prepared for you.
Hey, you can't drink that much caffeine. Honey, it's just not a good time. Please. Okay, it's just not a good time.
Matthew, please.
It's just...
Matthew, just give me your hand! Give me your hand! Give it to me!
Get out of my way.
It's just fine.
Get out of my way.
What's her temperament like?
Worrying.
Not good.
I want you to make me mother.
Let's take some time to think about it.
I want you to make me mother.
What do you think?
I don't want you here anymore! I want you to make me a mother.
You're not supposed to be doing this. You know you're on bed rest.
I want you to make me a mother.
We're gonna have to make a decision and repair Neum.
I want you to make me a mother.
There you go, Mama. You're doing such a good job.
I want you to make me a mother.
Laura, you are fully dilated, all right? It is time for you to start pushing.
I want you to make me a mother.
I know how sacred motherhood is. You're bringing a baby into this world. Isn't that just so special?
When you did finally get cast for a Pure Taboo, what was, do you remember the first episode you did for that?
I totally do, because it was me filling in for somebody who has found mainstream success. Emily Willis had just started doing a movie. And I remember my first day on a Pure Taboo set, I was so excited and everyone was like, you know, you have really big shoes to fill, you know, who's like seeing you're filling in for today. And so I always took that as like a really big honor because like I love her work. Like she's just like epitome of like a porn star sort of thing. And so seeing her mainstream work, everything like that, it was a really cool day on set because I felt like such a professional like milestone in my career because I had looked up to this company for so long. Worked with Seth Gamble and he's always professional and great and makes everything super comfortable, even the uncomfortable where that was, I was getting a tennis lesson and he was my tennis coach. And so from like having to swing our rackets and like miss balls a certain way, like everything like that, it was just like a really well shot day. And so like, I was like, I want to come back all the time. Like Pure Taboo, like contract me, please.
There you go. Well, we've done a lot of episodes with you since.
Love it. it's always such a good time. No matter how freaky weird it gets, it's always like, we're all smiling at the end of the day. And so it's a good day.
Well, I'll have to ask you what, if you were going to pitch a Pure Taboo story, what your story would be. You think about that. I'll
think about it. Yeah.
Okay. This is a question I like to ask. When you think about like kind of growing up and as you were sort of developing your own identity and your sexuality, what media or pop culture reference can you think of that had an impact on you?
I feel like it's so hard because like I grew up like a Britney Spears fanatic sort of thing. So like anything that she did, I'm there for. So I always like love the glamour of that. And then like Robert Downey Jr. came into the picture and I'm like, Daddy, like what's going on? So I don't know. It's like in a sexual, like sort of awakening sort of way. I felt the really like femmes I was drawn to sort of thing where I'm just like, oh my gosh, you're just like, so like, who even are you? Like, I love that. And then like real rugged, like has a past sort of man where it's just like the more information I found out about Robert Downey Jr., I'm like, okay, you got some charges. I like that. Like interesting. So I don't know. I feel like those two really kind of shaped my taste.
Yeah. You've watched Iron Man many times.
Oh yeah. Yeah. If I was a boy, I'd have an iron man.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
All right. So describe your perfect sexual encounter, Madi Collins.
My perfect sexual encounter. So one thing about porn, I miss having sex with strangers a lot. So before porn, I was very much like hey, do you want to go to the bathroom kind of girl? Like I would be in a club, whatever like that. And so I think just that like that you don't know each other's name, you sleep with each other, and then like you just part ways. You might see each other like in passing, like the same night or whatever, and then like don't speak again. I'm like, miss that, love that. Yeah. Perfect.
The spontaneity.
Yes. Yeah. I love just like the heat of the moment, the chase, everything like that. And so like having like, oh my gosh, I'm getting flustered thinking about it. I'm like, I need to go out to a club. Like I don't drink anymore. And so I'm just like, I'm not really out there, but I'm just like, that's ideal. Yeah. Just a sneaky little.
So you're in the club. I want your like, at least for your fantasies later. So what was your MO? You would like see somebody you liked and then was it like hawk eyes?
Kind of. I don't know what it is. I feel very like communicative through my eyes a little bit. And so it's not hard for me to like get the attention if I want someone's attention sort of thing. So just kind of like lock the eyes and then ignore for a little bit and then like look back if they're like still at some point like looking, and then it's just like, okay, go time. Yeah. Maybe like go up to them and like rub their shoulder a little bit and be like, hi, like what's going on? But now my new move that I feel like a lot of my girlfriends are shocked by, it's just open up your Instagram search, don't say a word to the guy, and just just Instagram. Yeah.
Now, do you show your search history, or are you just showing? Are you just showing your profile?
I'm asking them to just put in their name, and
there you
don't
go.
have to say a word. Ooh, we can just figure it out later. Yeah. And, so that's been the new.
It's like a new business card.
A little bit. It's like making my own making my own Tinder a little bit. I'm like, you're all there. I get to like scope you out a little bit, but like, give it time. We'll get like the top 5 of the night and go from there. Yeah.
So you collect some options.
Gotta have options.
And then you can just DM whoever.
Yeah, you kind of can watch their stories, see what they're really about, and like see if
that's that's actually quite clever. And I would say if you're in a club and Maddie approaches you should probably input that information. You might end up it's like your own Bachelorette reality show.
I'm like, once you're on my Instagram feed, it's like you're in my life a little bit.
You're being vetted. You're being vetted.
Exactly. Yeah. So it's never a bad move to give a girl your Instagram.
All right, so that's actually a really good segue into the next question. You got into porn post-pandemic, right? Or pandemic?
During the pandemic.
So what's it been like dating since you have become increasingly more well known for your Madi Collins work?
So I think like my biggest like struggle with dating, it's like anyone that I meet from this point on, they don't know me as me. They know me as like my persona online or like whatever I put out there. And so I have to be a little bit more mindful of what I put out there, because it's like I could be totally doing a joke on my end of things, but it's just like, oh, people think that whatever. So I think that's been like a little bit hard to overcome just in my own mind, where it's just like, you know me for my job, you don't know me for like the person, and like you always have this stigma and I know it, and so that makes it a little bit difficult. But I had a really long relationship like before joining porn, like a high school sweetheart sort of situation, and I lost all of my teen years to that. And so I kind of like made a little promise to myself where I was like, no serious dating in your 20s. And now that's gotten me so far as to be living out in LA and be doing a job that like I don't want to say always dreamed of, but the lifestyle that comes along with the job and everything like that. It's just kind of working out if I don't make it a main focus. And so I don't know, I kind of date around, which is fun, but nothing serious. And so like with having that in the back of my mind, it makes it a lot easier, like knowing that like all of these little situationships, and I hate that word, all of these little things are going to like end, but I like to stay on like good terms with everybody that like, because if I liked you at one point, like I liked you for a reason sort of thing.
And you never know what's going to happen in the future.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So it's kind of nice to like, I don't want to say build a roster, but it's just like have people come in and out. So it's like if someone's like out of town, I'm also out of town, I'm like, hey, are you around? And things like that. So I think it's beneficial to be single when you're trying to start out in this job, because it's like a lot of opportunities where I've thought about it and I'm like, could I have been like, hey, can I bring my boyfriend to this? And at this point, yeah, but like at some points, like probably not. Like it probably would have been a better one-man job sort of thing. So it's difficult. I think with doing this job and the bigger that you become in it, like they always say it's lonely at the top, but it's like as long as you have like good friends around you, then it's like you can get fulfilled in other ways. But it is kind of like you're signing off on knowing that relationships are going to be harder to do this job.
Yeah.
Lucky for me, I had the one high school sweetheart and he was like the greatest guy in the world. And so I'm like, I have really high expectations. And so not a lot of them are met in LA dating pool of men. So I'm kind of like, this is just fun and it'll all be good stories later.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you hit on something that really resonates with me about the difference between persona and person. And that I think is one of the things that it's like one of those hidden truths about probably any type of front-facing entertainment, but certainly adult entertainment, because you're putting such a, you know, obviously hypersexualized version of yourself out there. Totally. It's a very vulnerable side of yourself. And even though people can be like, yeah, I know it's like a, you know, it's a performance, like it's very hard for civilians to compute that, no, you're not like that all the time. And that sort of, you know, like always horny, ready to fuck fantasy girl is not necessarily it's not the real person. And there might be, you know, like depending on the person, like lots of crossover where like your person and your persona have similarities. But like I, even myself, when I started dating my wife, which was like almost 10 years ago now, I had to take like that quick, I had to learn, and she was the first relationship I had been in with a sex worker, but I had only known her as Sarah Love beforehand. And when I started dating her, I had to realize like, oh, that's a character that she plays. And it was a quick, for me, it was a quick, but it was a definite conscious like, oh, because even working in the industry at that point and even meeting her, I had to make that click. So I love like even being able to have these conversations because it helps people see, oh no, there's a person playing that persona, but they're not one and the same.
I mean, the best like example of that is Paris Hilton recently came out and she's like, I've been wearing blue contacts since I've been in the spotlight. Yeah. And I'm like, that's the great lengths that you go to just like really be this like Marilyn Monroe, like switch on like image sort of thing. And it's crazy to see the commitment that some people have where it's just like you're really selling your brand to the max and like it's cool, but it also would drive me absolutely crazy if I think I didn't have a little bit of crossover. So I think it's like a tease for the fans, but anyone that you meet in real life, it's like, oh, like that's just you because you act so real. And it's just like sometimes it is. Yeah.
What do you think the biggest misconception is that you have to deal with between the persona and the person?
I think just that people think, and it could be like a sex worker, like all around sort of thing, that like you don't care as much as you do about things, because like I'm a lover girl. Like I love loving on like all my people. Like I take things to heart, like my loyalty, I value really like strongly in relationships and things like that. And so people are just kind of like, oh, but like you're a porn star, so it doesn't matter if I sleep with this person, or it doesn't matter if blah, blah, blah. And it's just kind of like, I'm still a person. Like I still have to like go to sleep at night. I don't just get to turn off, you know? And so it's like, people are a little more scared to be as open about like any like infidelities or anything like that to a non-sex worker than they would be to a sex worker. Just because they're like, oh, you get it. Like you sleep with people all the time, and it's like, it's a job. Yeah. It's different. But like people don't get that like it is very different. Like, there's been a lot of good people I've been paired with doing porn where I'm just like, I wouldn't have slept with you, but I'm glad that I did, sort of thing. And I think in your personal life, it's like, I'm choosing you, and people don't differentiate that a little bit. Yeah.
It's time to play. Today, I have a breaking news scoop for you, and it is an all-girl showdown going down. On one hand, we have the Cougar Queens of Chaos, led by the fierce and the fearless Raven.
Ho down, throw down!
And on the other hand, we have the Mothers of Mantis, commanded by the bold and the brilliant Blaze.
All right, bitches, you know what to do.
These badass bims are ready to throw down and show the city what they're made of. So queens, mothers, I challenge you to strap on your gear and head over to that whorehouse. It's time for you to come out and play.
Fucking lesbians.
Hey, why don't you guys show this city that you can slay together?
What would you say is like the hardest part of the job for you?
Probably touching on that aspect is probably just like knowing that with this job, like, I don't know, I grew up like a little bit lonely. Like my parents both owned businesses and like kind of did their own thing, whatever. I had a sibling, but like it was like me and her, but like grew up a little bit lonely, and I kind of knew signing on to this job that like it's going to continue in some ways in your life. Like, yeah, there's always like good parts where you do find like good partners and things like that. But it really is a sacrifice to like have normal relationships doing this job. So I think that's like the one drawback where I'm just like, you're laying in your bed in a nice house with like your animals and stuff like that. But it's just like anyone that like I message right now, it's really not going to be anyone that like is of substance to me, you know? So I don't know. It's a drawback for sure, but like everything has sacrifices. Yeah.
What on the flip side do you find the most rewarding part about being Madi Collins?
I think the most rewarding part is just being able to be comfortable in myself. I think porn's taught me a lot of things that like maybe I didn't like about myself before. I would try to like hide away or like kind of be shyer about, and it's just like be loud, be proud, and like be you sort of thing. And so I think that's kind of the best part of it. And also I said like joining this job, I'm like, I want to do like a lot of other great things in life. Like porn is so awesome, and like having like the timeline that I have and everything like that, like I'm so excited to see where it's going to go. But with porn too, it's if you own it, then it's like you start out with showing your body on the internet, and it's just like, okay, now what? Like now you get to see like what else I can do. Like everybody looks for like the celebrity leaks and like this and that, and it's just like that's already out there. So like now it's kind of cool to be able to like go in any direction out of porn.
So what do you see, like, what do you see over the next few years for yourself in terms of ambitions you have or goals you have?
I have no idea. I always say like I'm taking things day by day, and like I've been in porn for 4 years. I'm just kind of like, I keep wanting to do things until I don't like doing it, and I can't see myself like not liking porn. And so that's where I'm like, what else do I like doing? And so I'm trying right now to just like try everything and just like seeing what clicks. I just kind of want to spend the rest of my 20s doing that and seeing what I actually like enjoy doing and go from there. But I did learn with doing this job that like I really enjoyed sex before this job, and now sometimes it does get a little mechanical when I'm 25 minutes deep in the scene and I'm just pushing through.
In reverse cowgirl for 25 minutes. Yeah.
Totally. But yeah, so I know that like anything that I do pursue, like there are going to be ups and downs with it. So like I don't want to get into music and then be like overanalyzing every song I hear on the radio when that is like an escape for me. Or I don't want to like get into acting if like I know that like at this job I get sex at the end of the day and that's kind of nice. At that job you don't get sex at the end of the day and that's not something that I'm used to. So I think there's lots to try and who knows, we could be in a World War III tomorrow. That's kind of what inspired porn too. I'm just like, we could like COVID happened and I was like, nothing matters. Just do whatever you want to do.
Live in the present.
Yeah. So
I get that way a lot too. You know, it's like just at least enjoy the present because you don't know what's around the corner.
Yeah.
So this was a good segue. Okay, so I have 2 questions for you that are related to. You mentioned I really love sex before porn, and now I love it, but sometimes it can get a little formulaic. So the first question is, what's the craziest place that you have ever had sex?
I got banned from a casino for giving head to somebody playing blackjack before, but like it was a little bit pre-planned. Like it was cleared with the table. It's not like anybody underage is there, you know? So we were just going to make a quick little video. And then like somebody came over and they were just like, yeah, we saw you on the big cameras. You can't do that. But it was okay. It was fine. It was in a big casino. It's whatever. But that one was pretty crazy. And then I don't know if I could say a name. I had sex in Post Malone's bathroom, not with Post Malone. Okay. So that clears that with some random guy. But like, yeah, not a little random, but like
not Post Malone.
Not Post Malone. I'm like, that clears that. But like, yeah, that one was a really cool, like, where am I right now? Yeah.
So what is your, like, if you were going to give some pro anal sex tips, what would you say in terms of prep? I know everybody's different, but.
So this isn't like necessarily a pro tip, but this is like the tip that I preach on. I'm like, 2 things. If Justin Bieber walked up to you and had like this 16-inch cock and he was like, the only way that I'm having sex with you is if I put it in your butt right now, I wouldn't say no. I would make it work, you know? And then also with that, I'm like, I don't know. I think it's a weird redhead thing. The pain receptors are different because like anal's really not that hard for me. There's not a lot that I need to do. I kind of just pop an Imodium the day of and like I could do talk about the night before as long as I like clean out everything like that. I just kind of pop an Imodium and then like on set I have like a couple different size dildos, but one of them's a tentacle where it goes and so that acts as like 3 basically. And I think that has gotten me through the most scenes. So like if you're training for anal, like get like a traffic cone almost that starts really small and goes because like without fail, that has gotten me through every one of my anal scenes.
So if it's an anal day on set with Maddie and it's before the scene,
I'm gonna have
and you're in the restroom getting ready, there's probably a cone-sized tentacle.
Yeah.
Good to know.
Absolutely.
What's your biggest like ick when it comes to like in the bedroom or when it comes to like when you do hook up with that lucky vetted person at the club?
Probably ego. Yeah, just like the name dropping ego LA sort of like look at what I have and this and that. I'm like, you could just be a normal person. There's not a lot like sexually that'll like turn me off sort of thing. I'm very open to trying new things, but I think the personality side of it, I love the kind of like the less that I know about you, I love the chase. So like once we start the pillow talk, sometimes I'm like, oh, I should not have given you that one. That did not help anything in your life. But I think, just the way that like people talk about themselves and others, that's the biggest, like, I'm into you or I'm not into you sort of thing.
And are you the type of person where it's like, it's either on or off?
So on or off.
Yeah. I'm the same.
Yeah. And it's like very few and far. So I'm just kind of like, I'll be stuck on someone for a while and just kind of be like, I'm so happy that we're continuing this while I'm also finding other good people. Yeah. I'm just very open with it. But like, yeah.
Yeah. What would you say out of your career so far has been your like all-time favorite scene? Doesn't have to be an adult time scene.
I would say it's an adult time scene though. So my pure taboo with Tommy Pistol and Seth Gamble, it was very creepy, very weird, very pigtails and overalls was like the theme of the day for me. And I feel like everybody kind of gets their one that's like, ooh, was it too far? And right afterwards, I was like, okay, that was like half of one. Like, I want to do another one sort of thing. Yeah. I was just like, I loved it. So I think the response when that came out, people were like, whoa. And I loved that. I love like invoking some sort of response out of people. I think it's just fun. It's different. And that one, like, it was so hard to keep a straight face that day just because of how serious everyone else was being that it was such a cool day. Yeah.
I do remember that episode, and it was one of the more controversial.
Yeah.
We always have to, someone once said porn with a side of guilt about pure taboo. And I think that you don't have to love it, but you'll never forget it. That's always the commitment I try to make with that.
Hi, can I help you?
Hello, my name is Sean Ginsberg. I am with the City of Los Angeles. I am with a social worker, and I've been hearing a few things about some complaints from some neighbors about your daughter being home, not being in school.
She's homeschooled, that's why.
I will be as efficient as possible, but there are some things we should discuss, so if quicker we do this, the better.
What's going on, Daddy?
It's my daughter. Hi, this man would like to talk to us.
Well, what is it that you do besides teacher homeschooling? I mean, what is there anything you guys do as activities? Do you go, I don't know, outside for walks or?
Yeah, we're just like every other normal family. Like, we eat, we play games, we hike.
Oh, you play games?
Yeah.
What kind of games do you play?
Oh, we play all kinds of games. We play like board games, we play card games, we play like sport games, we play Daddy's special game, we play video games.
Hold on. No, what is that? What is Daddy's special game?
Well, we started learning wrestling.
Wrestling?
We are in a situation now where this man has the power to take you away from me and separate our family. We're gonna have to include him in our little wrestling game.
For me, the one time where I sat behind the monitors and thought, have I gone too far? Did you ever watch the episode The Pickle?
I don't know if I have. You'd have to describe it to me.
So this was also in the very, very slow, with my phone sex operator voice. It was very early on. It was also in like that first year or so, and it was about a stepsister who was experimenting with inserting foreign objects in her body.
Love that.
And get something stuck, and has to call her stepbrother in a panic to come help her get it out. And I had this idea. I used to try to come up with names for pure taboo that were like very coy. So, for example, there was like an episode called The Cookie Jar, and it doesn't really have anything to do with a cookie jar, but like just things that would make that are just kind of like not porno title names.
Yeah.
And so I came up with the idea of these two step siblings getting into a pickle. And of course, the object that gets stuck is a pickle. I thought, okay, that's a brilliant idea. Yeah, I knew nothing about shooting anal sex at the time. Like, I think I had shot like that Enemas scene with Chloe Chair. I had shot like one scene. And I really wanted to make all the anal scenes on Pure Taboo like nightmares. So like
Anal can be scary.
Yeah. So I remember I sent Whitney Wright a message, and I said, here's this idea that I have. I have you in mind for it, but I won't do it if you don't want to do it. Please let me know like what you think about it.
Yeah.
And she wrote, and I quote, "As long as I don't go to the hospital, I'm down." So I'm like,
that's what I love about porn. Yeah.
So we shoot this scene, and again, I was not an anal pro at that point by any means. And we get to the point where the pickle goes in, and the stepbrother's supposed to go in and get the pickle out, and it was not supposed to go all the way in. but it got sucked up.
Whitney being the champion she is.
Yeah. And this is like 2017 Whitney too. So she was still earlier on in her career too. And we all watched in horror as it got sucked up in. And when the actor playing the brother was fishing it out, we were the look of horror on his face is not acting. Like we were behind the monitor and he was doing it and he got it out. And it was a great scene, but that was like one of the few times in my career where I thought, that's it. I'm in over my head. I've gone too far.
She said, just as long as it doesn't happen.
And she did not have to go to the hospital. But at that moment, we were questioning whether we would end up having to get some assistance to get that out.
I had a situation like that. Very early on with my career, I really only had a butt plug in to make sure that there was no leakage after that squirting scene because I was shooting with Johnny Sins and I wanted to squirt and I was just like, he's a legend. I'm going to do great. Squirting, the butt plug goes inside me. I'm like, I'm going to have to go to the ER with Johnny Sins. And then I'm like, oh, wait, he's a doctor. So
there you go.
So he was just kind of like, just push as hard as you can. We'll loop it up. And in the video that I have, you can see it just go boop. And I'm like, thank God. It almost would have been a better story if I did go to the ER with Johnny Sins, but like, I'm happy that it did not have to get to that point. That would have been.
It's a good thing you were with a real doctor.
A real doctor, yeah.
All right, are you ready for rapid fire?
Let's do rapid fire.
Okay, so we're going to close it out with some amazing questions from our beloved social team. Okay, let's start. Length or girth, and I added this, or girth master?
I like a boyfriend dick. So like having the nice like length and girth where it's just kind of like normal dick. I love a normal dick. Every time that I like slow down with shooting porn and come back, I'm just like, wow, these really are the biggest guys in the world, huh? Yeah. So in my free time, I'm like, don't try to impress me. It's okay. But I really don't like a skinny dick. Sorry. Not a fan, guys.
So that's an indirect shout out to you, Girth Master, still for owning the name. And I can't think of the word girth without thinking of Girth Master.
What a great guy.
All right. Where is the strangest place that you have ever masturbated?
That's a good question. Trying to think. I'm like a lot of places, but like I'm like a car person. So like in my car in random places, like I'm cool with that. I used to have a very tinted car. So
at any point on the 405?
Pretty much. Yeah. Like I always keep a vibrator in my car just in case. And so like, yeah, it's essentials. So it would just kind of be like I just got done like ordering coffee and I'm just like, yeah, fuck it. And so I would just like blast AC, whatever. But the strangest place is probably You know, I did a masturbation in front of some people one time where I did like a squirting. And so like that would probably be the strangest just because I feel like masturbating in front of anybody, it's like a little like.
It's personal.
Yeah. Like I'm like, okay, I'll get there. I swear. Like I'm working on it. But like it was very like jarring to see like just a bunch of guys just like watching me sort of thing. But like kind of hot. I don't know. Yeah. I'm happy that we fucked afterwards, or else it would have been a little stranger. I would have been like, okay, bye guys. Enjoy the shower. Like, yeah.
What is one non-sexual or one non-conventionally sexual thing that turns you on?
I love men's hands. I've always, like, since that high school sweetheart, whatever, like, I would always comment on his hands and he's like, what's with you and hands? But like, I don't know what it is. There's ugly hands and there's good looking hands.
Yeah. Well, and I guess that they show strength, right? Masculinity can be seen through one's hands.
Like starting to like do the science behind it or like psychology behind it a little bit. I was like, I'm probably looking at their fingers and I'm like, that made me feel good. Like that's a good size finger. Yeah.
Well, you mentioned your celebrity crush being Robert Downey Jr. And I think you described him as like a man who has, what did you say? Like he's like walked a hard road or something.
So
there's rugged, like there's descriptors there.
People always ask me my type and I'm like a reformed felon, like a very much reformed, like on the straight and narrow, like I'm sober. So I'm like, I need somebody that like has cool stories and like is into like cool things, but like not doing them illegally currently. Yeah. Like did their time, further crimes, let me know about them. Cause like I'm kind of into CNC. If you have a home intruder sort of charge, I'm like, we could play that out like consensually though. Like, yeah. So Reformed felon.
Reformed felon hands.
Strong hands, can break into a window. Yes.
What are your top 3 tips for pleasuring a woman?
Take your time. Just all the attention. I feel like just shower her in it. I feel like,
shower.
Yeah, showering in general is great. Brush your teeth. We love that. That's a pro tip if you're not doing it already. Yeah, I think just like the intimacy. I think girls really value that more than men do, where it's just like, yeah, like a hot hookup is fun and all, but like if you really want to pleasure a woman and like you're not just like making yourself come and like using her as a fuck toy, which like also hot, but like if you want her to have an experience, it's taking time, being slow, and just like really playing on the intimacy factors, like the ear nibbles, the like slow drags. Love it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Finally. The last one I'm going to ask you, because we already know the best way to slide into your DMs. That's been established.
Just do it. Yeah.
What? Okay. And then now keep this, because you mentioned CNC Fantasies. So keep this in the realm of what we can post online. What's the weirdest thing you've thought about while touching yourself?
Some pretty weird stuff, honestly. So I went through this phase. There's this old porn sites where it would be like having sex with like doing random pickups in like an alley with a really grungy looking like woman. And it would just be very like dirt everywhere, whatever. But it would mostly be like POV. And so like I was mad at a dude that I was seeing at this time. And so like in my mind, I was imagining that he wasn't out fucking all my friends, that he was doing exactly that. And I'm just like, kind of hot to imagine you like being all grungy, and I'm like, oh, don't you miss? Like, yeah. So I think that would be like one of the weirdest ones, because I typically wouldn't watch something like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, with CNC playing into it, I like a group sex, like sharing my girlfriend sort of thing, where it's like blindfolds, and then it's like, oh my gosh, how am I holding a dick while there's one inside of me? Surprise. And like that's also kind of like something that I can play off of like without watching porn or anything, and just like kind of have that like quiet masturbation session and just kind of be like, oh my God, what if like I close my eyes and like, oh, there's just a dick. Like that's so crazy.
Just like surprise.
Yeah.
It's popped out of nowhere.
There's just a gangbang here. That's so crazy. Wow.
All of a sudden I'm holding all of these things.
What if I was doing this like in my car and like somebody walked up, stuff like that.
Yeah.
And so I always have like those little fantasies where it's like very like random, and like the like CNC where it's just like, is it consensual? Because it's happening so quick. But when I'm like doors locked alone in my house, I'm just like, I can fantasize about that. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it is a legit fantasy. And I think what's really important about the CNC sort of kink is that it is the consensual non-consent element. Like consent is at the heart of it. Sometimes it gets really misinterpreted because people just jump to the non-consent part. But like the whole thing is set up in such a way that it's allowing you to consensually act out a fantasy, right?
Totally.
So it's one of those just misunderstood things about our sexuality.
It comes from somewhere, but like I don't know. I think that with it, it's very much like a taking a control back sort of situation where it's just kind of like your deepest, darkest like wonders, but just like done in a safe way.
Yeah.
Always a safe way.
100%.
Yes.
Well, porn's usually the stuff that you can't just go out and do in real life, right? So
100%.
With that said, I think we got through like most of these questions.
Hell yeah.
Good work.
Yay.
All right.
You have a lot of questions.
There's a lot of questions.
Yeah,
we covered some good ground. Like we said at the top of this podcast, something big is coming.
Something very big. It's about to pop on your screen.
Just pop out on your screen. Yep. So so stay tuned for that. I can't wait to show people what we did.
I'm so excited. It's going to ruin all of my ex's life.
There you go.
A couple days with how hot and exciting it is.
Amazing. All right. Well, we'll leave you on that note. Thank you guys so much, and we'll see you next time. Okay. So I think today was a first on the podcast, which is we normally prepare like a long list of questions, and I'll ask one or two and then go off on a tangent. But Maddie and I, our challenge today was to go through as many as we could. And I think we did a pretty good job. So we got to know Maddie really well. Her number one celebrity crush, Robert Downey Jr. Her idea of a perfect guy, convicted felon. And the very first porno that she ever watched that piqued her curiosity to get in the industry was a Grinch porn parody. I had a lot of fun chatting with Maddie. If you enjoyed the conversation as much as I did, please show your support and follow Maddie on all her platforms. We have them linked below. And as always, we appreciate your support. You can like this video, you can subscribe to our channel, you can leave a comment. Everything counts. We appreciate it, and we'll see you next week.